I'm Montana Arts Council member Rob Quist, and I'm a musician and a performing artist from Kalispell, Montana. And today it is my great pleasure to recognize jazz artist and aficionado, Kelly Roberti. Kelly has played bass with some of the finest jazz musicians in the world while helping foster jazz audiences and musicians in his beloved home state. And here are those same three questions. And of course, these are the answers in Kelly's own words. Who was your greatest influence and why? My father, Erminio Mike Roberti. Pops taught in the Montana public school system for 40 years. His relentless work ethic and energy was something to behold as a child. I'd see Dad at the kitchen table with a couple packs of Marlboros, scheming away to get the mill levy to pass, and then the very next day, he would go door to door to garner support. His stubborn insistence was what stuck with me. And he and my dear mother gave me music from the day I was born. Every day, always music. My mother, Mary Lee Roberti, was the breath of less intensity. The piano player, the reader, the mom. She made everything possible for all of us and still does. Second question is, how has Montana shaped your art and life's work? Malta, Montana in the 50s. My family's house was next door to the band room, and at 4 or 5 years old, I was able to look out a window and see my father conducting and teaching every day. I would watch in awe. That Montana experience let me understand that I had to do it myself, all of it. I fell in love with the music and was intuitively guided by all of this Montana elbow room to go for it all. I did and continue to do so. The third question is, please share with us something about your work, process, or inspiration that most of us do not know. And Kelly says, I am a poet in love with the language we share. I search for the irony daily that sustains us and tries desperately to shape it into form, humorous or not. My music comes from observation and the need to be communal. And now it's my great pleasure to invite Kelly's friend and colleague, Eric Funk, to the podium.
We've done this a lot. I take a piano solo and then Kelly takes a bass solo. Before I begin, I'd like to thank the Arts Council and everyone involved in the presentation for making this ceremony a work of art, in a work of art. Thank you for this frame. It's very wonderful. And also for bestowing this award on Kelly after my nomination for him for this award. Kelly embodies so much of what my colleagues in the music community love about Montana musicians. He was born in Malta. He's a native son. As many of us did, life prompted him to go outside and seek his career. But he returned to Montana to teach, to help found the Bozeman Blues and Jazz Art Society, to start a concert series, lecture series at the library for the last couple of years. It's a delight to see busloads of folks come down from the care center to meet musicians and get a sense of who they are in interview. We've played so many hours of music together, and it's difficult for me to explain, but the kind of connection that we have musically exposes details of personality that are difficult to put into words. But I can say that I know Kelly very, very well, and probably the best way that I can unpack him for you is to tell a little true story. A couple of years ago, Kelly and I were driving back to Bozeman on Highway 191 through Gallatin Canyon after a late night gig at the Yellowstone Club. About 12:30 in the morning, we got broadsided by a bull elk. And I was fortunate we were in my little Audi station wagon. It didn't even move on the road. We just kept on going, although it blew all the windows out. So we were driving along entirely covered with glass, and it was rather cold out. And I would just say it's figuratively and literally something that occurs that helps translate Kelly to you. Life crashes into Kelly, and Kelly crashes into life. That's kind of how Kelly approaches music. When we're going to play something, I have no idea what he's going to do, and I'm sure Ann Tappan, a pianist who's works with him frequently in the hall would tell you the same thing. But it's always honest. Just before I came up here, I looked back at my wife and I said, "Do you have a handkerchief?" Not for me, but I know Kelly well enough that I should be passing it to him. Neither one of us have it. You're on your own. Kelly Roberti to the rostrum.
Wow. First, I'd like to thank Governor Schweitzer and the Montana Arts Council for this amazing honor. Completely caught me by surprise when Eric called me and told me that I'd been given this honor. I dropped the phone and started crying. And thank you. Thank you, Eric. I love you. I look around the room and I see a lot of people that have affected me in life. I wish I could have them all talked, I'll talk to them during the proceedings. But I'd like to say that I have two old friends in here that taught me as a youngster. My first bass teacher and mentor, Jack Taylor, is right here. I used to follow Jack when he was playing with Gordy Wickham and Al Suvak in a trio in Bozeman, and I was about this big, and I just couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe he could play that big bass like that. And the other one is June Safford, right back here. Who taught me the art of and the beauty inside of poetry in school. Yeah. Oh, boy. This, there's a triple dedication I have to make that's real important to me with this award. One is to my father and my mother. Unfortunately, if my father was here, he's not here. He would, he'd love this. He'd really love this. My mother couldn't make the journey over from Bozeman in this weather. So this is dedicated to them. And to all you supporters that have listened to my music and put up with my crap for years, all over the state, and my persistence in getting these things done, that, more often than not, they were successes. And thanks for listening to the music and supporting when you could. And keep doing it, because we have wonderful musicians and artists in this state. And speaking of the artists, that's the third part of this. You have to be a pioneer to be an artist in this state. You have to be a pioneer. In other words, you've got to do it yourself. You've got to put your foot down and do it yourself, because there's nothing that's stopping you from doing it here. There's no outside influences to bug you. In other words, if I was in New York City, I'd have to sound like everybody else, and I don't do that. And I really want to dedicate this to the musicians and the artists of this state too, because they put up with me through thick and thin, most of the time thick. And I thank you guys for traveling over here, and I love you all. Thanks a lot.